Welcome back, everyone, to another All Sports Culture YouTube video. We got an NFL mock draft for you guys today. Excited to get into this one. No trades, 32 teams, first round mock draft. Excited to get into this, talk about a lot of these players. So let's get into it. Number one, this is wrong, by the way. Just want to point that out. Bryce Young should be the number one prospect. So he is going to go number one. Bryce Young to the Detroit Lions. Yeah, I'm not worried because I think CJ Stroud's going to be great. But Bryce Young, I've said it multiple times on this channel, on the podcast, and anywhere you can really hear my opinion. I've talked about how I think if Bryce Young was 2 or 3 inches taller, I get it's a big hypothetical. He's as good as a prospect. Maybe as Trevor Lawrence, maybe a little bit worse, but he's on that tier. He's an incredible player. He's going to lead Alabama to I think they're still going to win the national championship. So I think they're going to win out. I think it's going to be led by Bryce Young. And he hasn't done anything wrong either. You know, I think so many people are just like, oh, he had a down year as opposed to last year because, you know, he won the Heisman. He's not going to win it this year. But I think it's because Stroud and Hooker are just playing incredible football. So I think Bryce Young to number one makes a lot of sense. Number 2 with the Texans, I'll go CJ Stroud here. No problem there. I think CJ Stroud is close to being just as good as a prospect as Young. But obviously we know the Ohio State and the NFL. Hopefully he can break that ongoing tradition of Ohio State QBs in the NFL, but I think he will. I think Stroud is fantastic. They have the best offense in the country, Ohio State. Needless to say, they're going to probably go 1 and 2. Panthers at 3 are going to take the best player available, Will Anderson. You know, you go back to last year, Aiden Hutchinson gets all the fame. You know, he gets, the best defensive player in the country award, whatever it's called. And, people are considering him for the Heisman, but Will Anderson was right there. Statistic-wise and production-wise, he was just as good, or even a little bit better than Aiden Hutchinson, and was doing it as a sophomore. So Will Anderson this year has been incredible too. He's the best player probably in this draft. Maybe Bryce Young's a little bit better. But I think Will Anderson, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, like those 3, I think are much better than kind of the rest of the field. But Will Anderson, you just got to take best player available for the Panthers. I know they want to go QB. You cannot pass on Will Anderson sitting there at number 3. So,
taking a quick break to announce our new sportsbook partner for the NFL season, it's MyBookie. If you're looking to place some wagers on player props or some NFL games, click the link in our bio and use promo code ASC Sports to double your first deposit up to $1,000. Use code ASC Sports and go win some money.
So they'll figure it out. Eagles at 4, they get the Saints pick, which, the Eagles are going to maybe win the Super Bowl and have a top 5 pick. Talk about Howie Roseman, the job he's done. I'm going to go with Myles Murphy here. I think Brian Bryce is a better prospect. I think Myles Murphy, though, people are going to fall in love with his athleticism. Had a great weekend matchup against Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse last week. That was a lot of fun to watch. Myles Murphy did great there. He's done great the whole year. Not knocking him athletics-wise. He's incredible. I wouldn't take him with the top 5 pick, but I know he's going to be a top 5 pick. Eagles fans have been wanting Myles Murphy. Obviously, they need edge. They just signed Robert Quinn, or traded for Robert Quinn, but they still would love Myles Murphy to be part of this. This is what I think is going to happen. So that's why I have him at 4. I have a little bit of what I want to happen. That's why Bryce Young went 1. But Myles Murphy, I'm pretty certain is going to go top 5, even though I wouldn't put him there. Number 5, my favorite player in the draft class, Jalen Carter. You have a defensive line last year that has Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt, Trayvon Walker, I think Jalen Carter was the best out of that bunch, and I think this year really showed it. Absolutely explosive at the line of scrimmage, just makes plays behind the backfield. He is an athletic beast. Jalen Carter is the real deal. And I think Houston getting CJ Stroud and Jalen Carter is killing the draft so far with 2 top 5 picks. So shout out Jalen Carter. You'll get to my second favorite prospect in this draft as we get there, but I love Jalen Carter. Number 6, I'm going to go with Keely Ringo. It will stay in the Georgia realm. Here's a stat for you about Ringo. Through 6 weeks and 186 coverage snaps, he has not allowed a single touchdown all season. People are going to be comparing him to Sauce Gardner of the sense of he's just full lockdown. No one even tries to throw him the ball. Absurd athlete. He was the best player for Georgia in the national championship last year. Definitely defensively. I think of the whole game, he's going to be a top 6 pick. I think it's a great pick for Seattle. So yeah, number 7, I'm going to go with Broderick Jones if I can find him. Here it is. We'll stay in the realm of Georgia players. That's 3 straight dogs going off the board. It's almost like they're a good team or something. He's allowed no sacks, no hits, and only 4 hurries on 233 pass blocking snaps. I mean, he was the best tackle recruit, in 2020. Signed to Georgia, 5-star guy. Him or Skoronski, I think that's how you say it, or probably my 1 and 2. He's probably won by a slight edge. But the thing with Skoronski, why is he so far down? He is much better than the 26th best prospect. The thing with Skoronski is he's such a safe pick. Like, I know he's going to go in the league similar to Rashawn Slater, and I know they're going to have good careers. Broderick Jones' ceiling, I think, is a little bit higher, and he was the top recruit coming out. Steelers desperately need offensive line help, though. They'll go with Broderick Jones. Number 8, I'm going to go with Jordan Addison to go to the Jaguars. I don't think people talk enough about USC's offense, how incredible the coach Lincoln Riley is, and Jordan Addison is the best receiver in football right now. That's if Jackson Smith-Njigba was healthy, though. If JSN's healthy, JSN's a top 5 pick. I'm arguing that to death. But Jordan Addison is incredible in his own realm. Like, he goes up to make plays. His connection with Caleb Williams is obviously fantastic. There's not a lot wrong with Jordan Addison. And Jaguars, with Trevor Lawrence, desperately need help. So, from a weapon standpoint. So I think that's a good pick. 9 is the Raiders. Brian Bryce is finally going to get off the board here. We know the Raiders in the past drafts, I know that was kind of under the Mike Mayock regime, go for these big school type of athletes. That's why I think Brian Bryce kind of fits that. He's, again, a disruptor, extremely athletic. He's kind of like a hybrid linebacker per se, just the way he's built, and he's just so athletic and fast. Brian Bryce, number 9 to the Raiders. I love that pick. Number 10 is the Falcons, and they're going to go with a quarterback, 3rd quarterback off the board, and it's Will Levis. Will Levis will be a top 10 pick. Do I agree? Probably not. He's got the intangibles, though. He's been great at Kentucky. Best backup in the world when he was at Penn State under Sean Clifford. So, Will Levis, he's going to be a top 10 pick. People just love his traits, his size, his athleticism. He can scramble. He's probably the best scrambling quarterback out of this draft class. So, yeah, Will Levis, he's great. He's going to, I know some people are going to be upset that it's Atlanta at 10. I think he's not making it out of the top 10. And I know Mariota, he's been all right, but if they have the option of Levis or Mariota, I think they go with Will Levis. Number 11 is the Dolphins, and I'm going to go with Skoronski. I think that's how you say it. Hope so. Safest pick in the draft, I'd say. Again, don't know why he was 27 on here. Maybe a problem with him is his arm length. I think that's why teams are going to push him inside to try and play that left guard center position. But he watches film, especially in games, in practices, trainings. He can play left tackle. I don't have a problem with that. All across the line. He's not the most versatile lineman in this draft. We'll get there later, but he's up there. Peter Skoronski, great pick for Miami, who desperately needs offensive line help. Cardinals, they're going to go with Tyree Wilson. He should be close to up here, but he's probably not. Tyree Wilson. I mean, this is absurd that he's so... I'm just going to type him in. All right, 65, again, as a joke. I looked up Wilson, it didn't come up first. I was like, there's no way he's not on here. He's on here. 65 is a joke. Tyree Wilson's going to soar up draft boards come April. Texas Tech plays a bend, don't break type of defense, and if they didn't have Tyree Wilson, they'd be breaking a lot. 6'6", 275, production-wise, 9.5 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks. I mean, this edge class is just loaded, and I think Tyree Wilson's among the best of them. Cardinals got a great pick in Tyree Wilson right here. 13, I'm doing it. You got to. Jackson Smith-Njigba. But like, if Bill Belichick, we praise him as a coach. I know a lot of people criticize him from a GM standpoint. You got to take JSN. You have no weapons on this team. I don't care if it's Bailey Zapp, Mac Jones. You got to support him with something on this team. JSN, slam dunk pick here at 13. Again, I would put him top 5, top 6, 7, around that realm. I think he drops, though, because of the injury he suffered this year. But JSN, I'm all for him, just because let's not forget what he did in the Rose Bowl and all of last season. Please, can we not? 14, I'm going to go with, I'm not going to go with Kayshon Boutte. I'm going to go with someone who I think people are falling in love with a lot, and that's Quentin Johnston out of TCU. He has been great, and the biggest concern is there have been a couple games this year where he hasn't been involved per se, but especially in that Kansas game and multitude of times this season, he's gotten involved early, and he is the best player on their offense. Max Duggan, that the whole TCU team that's ranked 6th in the country, they're great. And I think Quentin Johnston has a great chance of maybe win the Blitnikoff Award. He's maybe the best receiver in football right now. This receiver class is also very stacked, and I don't think not a lot of people are talking about that. This is a great draft class from top to bottom, a lot of positions. Number 15 is the Commanders. Let's see if he's on here. I might have to scroll down or look up his name. Here he is. Olu Bashanu. So yeah, a couple of mocks I've seen him gone low, a couple of mocks I've seen him go high, and I'm on the instance where I think he's going to go higher than people expect. Said that about Kenyon Green last year. I think teams were going to fall in love with these type of offensive tackles. Yeah, I maybe looked into this a little bit to an extreme because I'm a Commanders fan, but we take a lot of guys from hometown, and he went to Gonzaga High School in DC. We desperately need O-line depth per se. He can play left tackle, right tackle, doesn't matter. He's great. His best game against Minnesota, he's looked great. He's looked the part this year. He's only going to get better. He's going to rise. He's a riser. I know he is. 16, Michael Mayer. You know why he's the 7th best prospect on this ProFootballNetwork.com? It's because he deserves it. Tight ends, look, let's not forget, people were saying he was as close to a draft prospect that we saw in Kyle Pitts. He wasn't better than Kyle Pitts, but he was up there. Michael Mayer makes plays. He is so athletic. He's that Brock Bowers type guy where he's going out there and it's just so explosive. He can block, obviously. A lot you like to see out of Michael Mayer, so I think Green Bay would love him at 16. Number 17, Paris Johnson. I'm just going to look him up, but he's right here. He's going to go 17 to the Colts. He's had a great year. Get him a new helmet, though. Isn't he the one with like the super small helmet on Ohio State? He's kind of a steal here. Yes, we talked about him. Maybe he's the best offensive tackle. Him, Skoronski, and Broderick Jones are kind of that tier 1, I would say. Colts just need O-line so bad. That offense is terrible. So, yeah. 18 with the Bengals, I'm going to go with, let's see if we can find him, Cam Smith, and not the golfer, but if you took the golfer too, that would be a great pick because he's one of the best in the world. But Cam Smith from a cornerback, he's just like Ringo, and the fact that no one throws to him. After producing 3 picks and 9 breakups last season, Smith is simply being avoided by quarterbacks this season. He's only allowed 6 catches on 13 targets for 38 yards in 5 games, less than 8 yards a game. So he's a big lockdown corner. Obviously, the SC defense, it's led by him. He's going to go top 20. I will bet a lot of money on that. Bengals fall lucky, get him at 18. 19 is the Buccaneers, and you guys are not going to like this one. But guess what we're going to do? We're going to take Hendon Hooker out of Tennessee. And guess what, guys? I do not care that he's 25 years old. I do not care that he's a late riser. You want to know what I do care about? His decision-making is arguably the best in the country. He has a fantastic deep ball. The intangibles are all there. And he's playing the smartest football, arguably behind C.J. Stroud. He's right there in the Heisman race. And Hendon Hooker is playing, I can't stress enough how good football he's playing. We saw that a little bit at the end of VT stretch. We saw that in his whole tenure here at Tennessee. They're a great squad, and Hendon Hooker, I cannot praise enough. Tom Brady, I think, will retire after the season, so I think getting a quarterback is their top need. Hooker so the Tampa's already in a win-now situation as well. You get a 25-year-old Hooker who should be ready right when he comes, so I love the pick here for Tampa Bay. Number 20 with the Lions, I'm going to go with Joey Porter Jr. Joey Porter Jr. is my second favorite prospect in this draft. Number 1, obviously belonging to Jalen Carter, but Joey Porter Jr. is up there, and I would take him with a top 10, 15 pick, whatever you want to call it. He plays like a linebacker. Just the way his instincts, how quick he is. He's an elite NFL corner if you watch his film. His game again against Minnesota, which they played great, Penn State. Want to point that out, they were fantastic. Everything about Joey Porter was great this season, so the Lions would have killed this draft taking Joey Porter and Bryce Young. I'm all for that. Chargers at 21. They're going to go with Darnell Washington, tight end out of Georgia. I wish it was Brock Bowers, but unfortunately it is not. But Darnell Washington goes to this Chargers team. Look, he's 6'7", 270. He's an offensive tackle, but is just so freaking athletic. He's a tight end. That is Georgia, I've talked about him enough. They're unbelievable. He's not even the best tight end on that team, which says something. He's going 21 here. Can you imagine Brock next year? Get ready, folks. He's a beast. Anyway, he's a giant, 6'7", 270. He's going to rise. I think people are going to love with his intangibles just because he's had more production this year than he has the first 2 seasons. So he's already rising. People love Darnell. He's going 21. 22. It is the Ravens, and they're going to go with Isaiah Foskey. So Foskey, the edge out of Notre Dame. Can we talk about his game against UNLV for a second? 3 sacks, 2 blocked punts. 2 blocked punts, 5 tackles. What a stupid, unreal performance out of him. Best player on that Notre Dame defense. They love Isaiah Foskey, and he's going to go high in this draft. People are mad about the Ravens taking another edge, but it hasn't worked when you've taken edges. So it's kind of why we did it again. All right, 23 is the Seahawks. It would be the Dolphins, but their pick's forfeited, so we'll go with the Seahawks. They're going to take Derek Hall, the edge out of Auburn, which 117. I don't get some of these rankings. He's been arguably the best player in Auburn in his whole tenure. He's been at Auburn. They love him. I mean, you listen to Auburn Twitter, and they're complaining about their season, but Derek Hall is the only one they praise on this team. So he's been fantastic. I think he's going to go 23, first round talent. Seattle takes him at 23. Next pick is the Titans, and they're going to go with, finally, Kayshon Boutte, which number 6 is a bit too high. But Kayshon Boutte is one of those guys that he doesn't have it production-wise. The statistics won't pop out, but you look at his athleticism, his straights, he's unbelievable. Like last year, he had the touchdowns. This year, he doesn't. But he just needs to be fully healthy. He just needs to. He's fine. I'm not even worried about him. Tennessee gets a playmaker there. So, yeah. Jets at 26. They're going to go with Trenton Simpson, with another Clemson player, especially on the defensive side. We've already taken 2 off the board, and then get 3. People love Trenton Simpson, by the way. Yeah, another Clemson guy. Not really sure how I feel about him as a whole. He's pretty inconsistent. The last couple weeks, people have not been a fan with him, especially Clemson fans. But from a linebacker standpoint, I think I like Ivan Pace a little bit better. I'm trying to see where they would have Ivan Pace. I think I like Ivan Pace a little bit better. But Trenton Simpson's what I kind of think people are going to lean towards. But I think Pace could rise up draft board. So be on the lookout for Ivan Pace, even though he's not on in our first round. Number 26 with the Cowboys. They'll go with Brian Branch, the safety out of Alabama. They desperately need some secondary help. We know what they do at the line. Micah Parsons, I hate because I'm a Commanders fan. He's just stupid good. He's incredible. I love this guy, Brian Branch. He plays all over the field. He's only missed 1 tackle in his 2 years here at Alabama, which is, again, stupid. He's going to be a star. Cowboys would love him. It's a great pick. You can't argue with that. With the Vikings, I think they go with Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. He just had his best game of the season against UCLA. He is a lockdown corner as well. Just needs to improve his ball skills a little bit, which I know I've heard the expression, you can't teach ball skills, it's just natural instincts. He'll be fine. He's a great corner. He's a first-round corner. Again, had his best game. I'm excited to see how he improves as the season goes on. Oregon's great. They're looking really good. They can win the Pac-12. Kansas City at 28. They will take Go Terps, Jalen Duncan. Jalen Duncan is the most versatile offensive lineman in this draft class by a wide margin. His giant frame is second to none. That's why people love him. He can play all across the line. Seriously. Considered maybe him at 15, but 28 is where he's going to go to the Chiefs, who, again, they need O-line, but maybe edge a bit more. But in this instance, they can go with an edge. Like Ujulari out of LSU is sitting right there. I think they'll go with Duncan, though. Giants at 29. They're going to go with Josh Downs, which, again, should kind of be 30. But Josh Downs, we know the quarterbacks that UMC have had in the past couple of years. Sam Howell, now Drake May. It's been great, but Josh Downs has continually been the best receiver on his team. He's an electric player to watch. And UNC is great this year. There's really not much I can say. Like Giants, they just traded Tony. They need wide receivers so bad, it's absurd. Bills, I'm going to go with, is it DeJuan Jones? It is DeJuan Jones out of Ohio State. He's 6'8", 359 pounds. That in its nutshell can tell you what you want to know about DeJuan James. The Bills, they need an offensive lineman. He's right there. Best player available. That's what I'm going to go with. 31, Bijan Robinson. He's the best running back in this draft by a wide margin. He's the best running back in college football. Eagles would love a Bijan Robinson, I think. And we know what we say about taking running backs first round. I think it's fine with Bijan Robinson. So here it is. What do we think of it? I think it's pretty good. There's a lot of great players I like in this, and I love this draft class. So thank you for watching. Check out that post we made on Instagram. It's the same exact mock draft. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the podcast. Do all that great stuff. Until next time, we will see you later.